this morning we had Mila's appointment in Sheffield. We're not vlogging today, but I did want to just film this little section for the vlog for tomorrow, just because it's fresh in my mind. If I wait till tomorrow, I'll probably leave half of it out. So I just wanted to update everyone, let you all know how it went, and make sure I vlogged it all for a memory to look back on myself. So we had Mila's pre-op assessment and meeting with the consultant, surgeon basically, that will be doing her surgery, and it went really, really well. We left feeling completely reassured. Surgery is the right treatment avenue for Mila to go down. Very, very quickly we found out at birth, actually. When Mila had her birth... Yes, darling? No, I'm making din-dins in a minute. Sorry, sweetheart.
Oh, it's my boy.
Good boy. You can have that after dinner, okay? It's always worse when he doesn't cry and he just goes, oh, and walks off. Anyway, we found out when Mila was born that she had a slight click in her hip. We took her at 7 weeks for an ultrasound. They said that the range was slightly, just very marginally out of limits, and so they'd refer her to Sheffield Children's Hospital. We went to Sheffield Children's Hospital for a follow-up appointment and were told that her hip was dislocated and it was so bad she needed surgery. So it was obviously a big shock to us. We had a lot of questions today that was answered for us very thoroughly. We didn't feel rushed in the appointment at all. We were there 3 hours, in fact. We saw lots of different people. We saw the whole team, basically, that will be taking care of us and Mila when she has a surgery at the end of this month. We just, honestly, left feeling really, really well looked after, reassured, and really positive about the whole thing. So just to quickly say that there was a few questions I had. I'm not going to go into it because it will, or into all of it, because it will literally be like a half an hour long section, this me talking, which will probably be very boring for all of you guys watching. But I didn't understand a few things that were concerning me, mainly about how we'd gone from it being very minor and only slightly out of range to it's so bad she needs surgery. I didn't think anybody was lying at all, obviously, but I didn't understand. Maybe someone made a mistake somewhere. How have we gone to from one extreme to the other? Did somebody make a mistake? There's always that doubt in your mind, and I needed to know what happened, why it happened. That was my main concern. Today we went and I asked that question, and I found out that nobody was wrong. So he got up the original ultrasound she had at 7 weeks and he said, yeah, that is, can't remember the angle. Was it 61? Can you remember the angle? I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember the angle he said, but it was very, very, very slight. I can't compare it to his angle that he got for how bad a hip is now because he doesn't work on angles. He said it's not very accurate and they're so good at what they do, they don't need to. They'd rather just go on the imaging, looking with their own eyes. And he said that that's what he said, isn't it? Can you remember the name that he said? It started with a H. What they use to diagnose? No. But they don't go on angles, so I can't give you what her angle is right now because they don't go on that. Sorry, I just had to move the camera. So there were no mistakes made at all. It was very, very slightly out of range. Basically, developmental dysplasia of the hip, DDH, is called, it was in the past called something else. So bad at remembering names. This is all wrote down for us, so we've got it all in writing, so we can look back on it. But it was originally called something else, and and basically that name meant that they were born with this condition, whereas that's not the case. It's called developmental dysplasia of the hip because it's something that develops over time. So a lot of babies are born with it, but they don't always get that picked up on. We're actually really lucky that it was. All it takes is for that one click to be missed And if the hip doesn't click that one time that doctor does that initial check, then this can go undiagnosed. And unfortunately, after doing my own research and speaking to the doctor, that happens a lot. So we are so lucky that this has been caught. And instead of me feeling frustrated and upset and angry at the world that this needs doing, I actually feel really grateful now. So it's something that develops. I asked also why Mila wasn't offered a harness, because a few people have told me that their babies have had harnesses from like 7 weeks, 6 weeks, 4 weeks even. Whereas we were told that she wouldn't be offered a harness because they wouldn't offer treatment at her age. This was when we were at the 7-week thing. I think I vlogged about it. And he said that each hospital practice is different. So they offer different treatments. It's not just one set rule. It depends like what consultant you get, what hospital you're at, etc. So that's why we weren't offered a harness. Also, Mila's hip is slightly at the wrong angle, so that could also have been a factor. He said there were many factors to why. It's not just, oh, she's got this, so she should have been put in a harness, which is what I thought. I'm trying to think of everything so I didn't miss anything off. We were told also that it could correct itself, which is the case. It can, and he said when they get the initial ultrasound at 7 weeks, some hospitals prefer to leave it and wait and see. Some hospitals go straight to harness. It just depends. Each child's different, each consultant's different, each hospital's different. There's no one set rule. And a lot of children do go on to not need the harness, and the hip heals, develops on its own. And because he said today, because Mila's was so just slightly out of range, that he probably wouldn't have recommended a harness either. He probably would have said, it's only very slightly out, let's leave it a little bit and see. I asked, like, is there anything we could have done that has contributed to her hip getting worse? And he said 100%. In fact, what did he say? What did he say when I said that? Get it out your head. Get that out your head. Oh, Chris is not listening to me. But he basically just said, get that out your head straight away. He was like, it's not possible. You can't manipulate your children's bones there. You can't, it's not possible. I asked lots of questions like sitting in certain seats, could that have contributed? Could me baby wearing? I asked about baby wearing at her appointment when I was last there, and he said I didn't have to change any of that. But he said there is nothing you could possibly have done at home that could have made it better or made it worse. So I felt reassured about that, which is good. What else? He also examined Mila whilst we were there. At her previous appointment, he looked at her scan, her ultrasound, imaging, and she'd just fallen asleep, so he didn't want me to get her all undressed and wake her up. And so I was like, you didn't actually examine her yourself last time. Is there a chance that you could examine her now and maybe it will go back into place? And he said, I'm going to examine her anyway, so let's have a look. Can you grab her, babe? He got her on the table, got her undressed and things, and he had the same conclusion, basically. And one thing that I actually really, really appreciate that he did, he put both of her legs up in like the frog position, like he pushed both of her legs up and then pulled them outwards, so it's like outward frog position. And her right leg went right out, and her left leg was something we've never noticed, only went halfway. And he said I can't push that down anymore comfortably for her. You can see the difference. And I honestly couldn't believe it. And then he said, if you just feel here on her groin, you can feel how hard and high to the surface her tendon is on the left side. And you can literally feel a really thick groin, her groin tendon. And he said, now compare it to the right one, and we felt the right one, and you could barely feel the right one at all. That's the tendon that they will cut when they do the surgery. I felt really good to have some sort of symptom that I could see physically myself. It's really hard to accept that your child, well for me anyway, that your child has something wrong with them and they need surgery when you can't physically see anything wrong. And maybe that's a bit ignorant, I don't know. But when you can't see anything wrong and your baby's showing no signs of anything being wrong, it's really hard to accept such a big, life-changing thing that's going to happen. Like, it's not just the surgery, it's also 6 months of full body casts and harnesses. But today, seeing that myself, what else did he show us? He showed us something else today. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, that's true. He showed us the previous ultrasound images in detail, and you could clearly see the cup on her left side was shallower than the one on the right. He also said that there's a lot of muscles and tendons around there that would need cutting because they'd gone really tight, as they do when in this condition. Yeah, her thing is her hip is dislocated. It's not in the position it should be, and it's also twisted, so it's not at the right angle either. So it's not just one thing. He actually said to us, it's not just one thing going on here, it's quite a few things that's going on. It's not just like one simple thing. And I don't know why, but in a way that made me feel better about her needing the surgery. Not that I want loads of things to be wrong with her, but it just made me like, oh yeah, fair enough. So basically the appointment went really, really well as could be. We did find out that obviously only one parent can go down to theatre with her, which just makes me really sad. Because I feel like it's such a scary thing to go through, and parents, you know, you rely on your husband or your wife to reassure you and things, and we've decided that should be Chris going down with her, because I breastfeed and I have to not feed her for four hours before, and so it wouldn't be fair for me to be hugging her because she just wants to feed. So Chris is going to do that. There's also a chance that they might only let one of us go into recovery, which will suck so bad. Seeing her for the first time and things and having no support there, but obviously it's COVID rules and that's the reason why. They said it depends on the day, depends on the consultant, the surgeon. They might let both of us come in, so we'll see that on the day. They also said we'll be in 2 days, so we'll be kept in overnight because of her age. I was quite shocked, but everyone in there was cooing over her. They were like, she's so tiny, we've got a tiny one in. I don't think it's very often they do surgery on such small, teeny tiny babies, because they were literally cooing over her. We got loads of advice on car seats, things like that, clothes, how to change her, positions, sleeping advice, feeding advice. We got so much advice today. And what was the other thing that's just gone straight out my head? We also got told by the surgeon today that she will. Oh, are you okay? Oh, what did you do? Yeah, you found a sofa. Come give me a snuggle. Oh, Jay's just hurt his foot on the sofa, guys. The surgeon told us that she will be first on the list. She's the youngest to be having surgery that day. So she'll be first, which is good. You okay? So she'll be first on the list, which is good. No messing about, no waiting around. I can't feed her from about 5 a.m, 6 a.m. I can't remember. I'll have to wait for the letters to come through. And then we have to be at hospital at 8 a.m. and then her surgery will be like an hour, 45 minutes, was it? Ish, something like that. 2 hours after we arrive at the hospital.
Oh no, sorry.
No, it was like 45 minutes, they said. So it'll be done pretty quickly. I can feed her straight after. They warned us about a few things that could happen in the first day or two. Muscle spasms, I think she said it was called. They'll give diazepam if that happens. I think that was everything. I mean, I'm sure I forgot. Yes, darling.
Call the doctor. The kitten got hurt.
Oh no, call the doctor. The kitten got hurt.
Yes.
Oh, can you help her?
Yeah, but I can't. The doctor can help her. But I'm not doctor. Yes, you just need to touch my hand.
Cute.
Touch my head.
So just really quickly, if there's anything else I forgot, I will obviously fill that in tomorrow. We'll be daily vlogging tomorrow. But yeah, I feel really reassured. Everything's been explained properly now. I know she needs the surgery. I want to get the surgery done as soon as possible so that we're not having to have her in a cast all the way over summertime, because that would just be awful. I can't even imagine how hot and... Oh, obviously we can't bath her or anything like that when she's in the cast. We got so much advice today, it's all like whizzing through my head. But I just wanted to really quickly update. It's not really quickly, as I've been filming for like 8 minutes. But yeah, really reassured about everything, really happy, and that's everything.